I never thought I'd be the guy to get blindsided like this. 5 years of marriage, a beautiful house, a good job, and I always thought I had a pretty solid relationship. We had our fights, sure, but nothing that felt insurmountable. Then, during what I thought was supposed to be the happiest time of our lives, my wife, Emily, was pregnant. We were about to become parents, and I was ready for that new chapter. I even thought we were closer than ever. But all that changed in one sickening moment. It started with little signs, weird shifts in her behavior. She'd be on her phone more often than usual, giggling in the bathroom for long stretches, or suddenly needing me time, which I always shrugged off as her way of adjusting to everything. She'd mention needing space or that she was exhausted, and I told myself it was just pregnancy hormones. I mean, I wanted to believe that, right? But deep down, I started feeling like I was losing her. Little things added up. Her phone disappearing, her deleting messages, her avoiding eye contact when I asked about her day. Then came the night I found the evidence. I was sitting on the couch, flipping through her phone, just killing time while she was in the kitchen. I didn't even mean to snoop, just a habit, I guess. And what I saw made my stomach drop. There was a string of messages, flirty, sexual, explicit, between her and someone named Mike. I knew Mike. He was my best friend, or at least I thought he was. She'd been texting him all kinds of dirty stuff, talking about their plans to meet up, how much they wanted to have sex again. I saw the hotel reservations, the secret rendezvous, the can't wait to see you messages. And the worst part, she was doing all this during my pregnancy while I was in the hospital recovering from a minor complication, and she was out cheating. It was like my entire world shattered in that moment. I stared at the screen, numb. My mind was racing. How long had this been going on? How could she lie so easily? How long had she been lying about her feelings, her fidelity? I didn't even know if I was angry or just devastated. I've never felt so betrayed in my life. I wanted to scream, too. Shake her awake and demand an explanation, but I just sat there, frozen. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't know how. It was the sort of night that would change everything forever. The next morning, I could barely sleep. My mind kept circling back to what I saw over and over. I kept thinking about her lying to my face, how she acted like everything was fine, like she was some kind of innocent victim. That bitchy, condescending attitude she always had, always making excuses, twisting truths, came rushing into my head. She'd always been good at lying, pretending everything was perfect even when it was. But this was something else entirely. It wasn't just a lie, it was a full-blown betrayal. And the worst part, I still loved her. Or maybe I did, but that love was slowly turning into something else, something bitter and dark. I decided I couldn't just sit around and let it fester. I needed to know everything. So when she came home that evening, I was already waiting in the living room, my arms crossed, my face cold. She stepped inside, smiling that fake, innocent smile she always used when she knew. She was hiding something. I looked her right in the eyes and asked, "Who is Mike, and what the hell have you been doing behind my back?" She froze for a second, then let out a sharp, defensive laugh. "What are you talking about? You're crazy. I don't know what you're implying." She brushed past me, heading towards the kitchen, but I wasn't having it. I grabbed her arm and pulled her back. "No, Emily, I saw your messages. I know what you did. You've been sleeping with Mike during my pregnancy." "How long has this been going on?" My voice was trembling, but I kept it steady, just enough to keep her from dismissing me, her face twisted into a sneer. "You don't understand. It's not what you think. I was stressed, and Mike, he's just there for me, okay? We're not cheating, we're just—" "I don't know, venting, it's nothing serious." She looked away, her eyes flashing with anger. "You're overreacting." That lie, that excuse made my stomach churn. I knew she was lying. I could see it in her eyes, the guilt, the shame, the frantic attempt to deny everything. But I was buying it, not anymore. I told her I needed the truth, and that if she lied again, I'd be done. That's when she started to get really bitchy, throwing accusations at me, saying I was insecure, that I was imagining things, that she deserved a break now that she was pregnant. The conversation spiraled into chaos. She yelled about how I wasn't supportive, how I didn't understand her needs. I was so mad I could barely breathe. All I could think about was the lies, the cheating, the fact that she betrayed me at the worst possible time. My mind kept circling back to the picture of her and Mike in that hotel, their secret texts, their lies. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and above all, furious. In that moment, I realized I had to make a decision. I couldn't keep going on like this, living in a lie. I wanted to believe she loved me, that she'd be faithful, but her actions told a different story. I told her I needed some time to think, that I wasn't going to let this slide. She stormed out, crying, accusing me of making a scene for no reason. I stayed there, staring at the door, feeling a strange mix of heartbreak and resolve. Whatever happened next, I knew the trust was completely broken. I'd never look at her the same way again. Over the next few days, I was a mess. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, kept replaying that damn night over and over again. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that smug look she had when she was lying through her teeth. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Every single time I remembered the texts, the hotel, the betrayal. The worst part was not knowing what to do. Part of me wanted to just pack her bags and throw her out, but another part, one that was still clinging to some shred of hope, wanted to believe she could fix this, that maybe she was just lost and confused, that she still loved me. But deep down, I knew better. I knew she was lying, hiding more. I decided I had to get some proof beyond just her words. That's when I started digging. I checked her phone again, scrolled through her messages, trying to find any new signs she might be hiding. I also started watching her more closely, her routines, her excuses, her calls. Every day I felt more like a detective in my own life, trying to catch her in another lie. Then one afternoon I caught her. She was on her phone in the bedroom, typing away. I snuck closer, trying not to be obvious, and saw she was texting someone, probably Mike. My heart started pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I peeked over her shoulder and saw the message. "Can't wait to see you tonight. The hotel is booked. Don't forget the condoms." That was the moment I knew I couldn't pretend anymore. This wasn't just a flirtation. It was full-blown cheating, happening during the time we were supposed to be building our family. I felt my blood boil. I wanted to scream, to shake her awake and make her see how much she'd hurt me. But instead, I quietly left the room, my mind racing. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time with solid evidence. I didn't want her to lie her way out of it. I wanted her to face the truth, and I wanted it on my terms. That night I sat her down again, and this time I showed her everything. I laid out the messages, the hotel reservations, the explicit texts. Her face went pale, then red with rage, then tears. She tried to deny it all, said it was a mistake, that she was stressed, that Mike was just a friend, that she never meant for me to find out. But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I told her I was done with her lies, that her betrayal had crossed a line I never thought she'd cross. I told her I couldn't trust her and I didn't see how we could move past this. She screamed at me, said I didn't understand, that I was overreacting, that she loved me, that she'd never do anything to hurt me intentionally. But I looked her in the eyes and saw the truth. She was a liar. And worse, she was a cheat. That realization hit me hard. I'd trusted her with everything, and she'd thrown it all away for some stupid affair with my best friend. I felt like I was drowning in betrayal, and I knew that from this moment on, nothing would ever be the same. The aftermath of that night was a blur. I remember sitting on the couch for hours, staring at the wall, trying to process what I'd just uncovered. It was like my entire world had cracked open and spilled everywhere. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, disgust, and a crushing sense of betrayal that cut so deep I wasn't sure how I was supposed to recover from it. My wife, Emily, kept pleading, crying, trying to justify her actions, saying she was stressed, that I didn't understand her. She begged me not to tell anyone, especially not Mike, because it would ruin everything. I looked at her and saw how manipulative she was, how she could turn everything around to make herself look like the victim. That's when I realized I had to take control, that I couldn't keep living in her world of lies. I needed to decide what to do, and I knew that lying there, feeling helpless, wasn't an option anymore. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me into staying silent. I felt a surge of clarity, revenge, I thought. I needed to make her regret this, send her a message she would never forget. That's when I decided to develop a plan, one that would hit her where it hurt. I started gathering evidence, screenshots of the texts, hotel reservations, anything I could find. I wanted to make sure she knew I wasn't just angry, I was plotting. I also reached out to a lawyer just to understand my options, preparing for the worst. I knew I could leave her, but I also wanted her to feel the full weight of what she'd done. I couldn't just walk away without making her realize how badly she had screwed up. Over the next few days, I played it cool. I pretended everything was normal, but inside I was boiling. I would come home, act like I was fine, all while secretly planning my next move. I knew I had to be careful. She was manipulative and bitchy, always spinning stories to make herself look innocent. I couldn't give her any reason to deny the truth or turn the tables on me. I had to be smart, patient, and relentless. Meanwhile, she kept up her act, acting innocent, trying to gaslight me, saying I was paranoid or jealous. But I saw through her. I knew her lies, her manipulations, her selfishness. This was just about cheating. It was about a complete lack of respect and loyalty. I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I had to show her that her actions had consequences, that she couldn't just sweep everything under the rug and pretend it never happened. That's when I started dropping hints, little things to make her uncomfortable, like mentioning the evidence I had, or asking her questions she couldn't answer without revealing her guilt. I wanted her to feel the pressure, to see that I wasn't going to be her doormat anymore. I was done being the one who always took the blame, the one who held everything together. I was ready to take my power back in whatever way I could. The tension between us reached a boiling point. I could see her getting more agitated, more defensive, as if she knew I was onto her. She started to raise her voice more often, accusing me of spying, of not trusting her, even calling me paranoid and crazy. But I didn't care about her lies anymore. Deep down, I was already planning my next move, something that would hit her even harder than her betrayal. One evening, I put my plan into motion. I had arranged everything with a private investigator I found online, someone who specialized in infidelity cases. I paid him to get me more concrete proof, photos, maybe even recordings if possible. I wanted her to see the evidence with her own eyes, to realize how thoroughly she'd been caught. I knew she'd try to deny everything, spin more lies, but I had to make her face the truth. While I waited for the investigator to get back to me, I kept my cool. I'd started taking pictures of her calls, her daily routines, even her sneaky trips to the hotel where she met Mike. Every small detail was a reminder that I wasn't blind, that she couldn't keep hiding behind her fake tears and false apologies. I was gathering the ammunition I needed to end this once and for all. Then the day came. The investigator sent me the photos. Emily, in the hotel room with Mike, kissing him, touching him, completely ignoring her pregnancy. The photos were crystal clear. Seeing her in bed with my best friend felt like a punch to the gut. My hands trembled as I looked at them. I had all I needed to destroy her, and I knew I had to do it soon. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I waited until she was out of the house, then I sat her down with the evidence spread out on the table. Her face went pale as she saw the photos, her eyes wide with shock and panic. For a long moment she didn't say anything. Then she started to cry, begging me not to tell anyone, saying it was just a mistake, that she was confused, that she loved me and only me. But I looked at her and saw the lie. I saw the bitchy expression she always wore when she was lying. I knew her for what she was now, a manipulative, selfish woman who had thrown away everything we built for some cheap thrill with my best friend. That was the moment I realized I couldn't stay with her anymore. I told her she had to leave, that I was done. I told her I'd make sure the truth came out, whether she liked it or not. The tears and pleas didn't matter anymore. I'd lost the girl I thought I knew, and I was finally ready to move on without her. I felt a strange mix of relief and heartbreak, but I knew one thing for sure. I was finally free from her lies, her manipulations, her betrayal, and I'd never let anyone do that to me again. The days that followed were a whirlwind. I moved out of the house, found a small apartment nearby, and started the long process of healing. It wasn't easy. Every morning I woke up feeling the weight of betrayal, wondering how I could have been so blind. But at the same time, there was a strange sense of relief, like I'd finally taken control of my life again. I didn't want to be the guy who sat around feeling sorry for himself. I wanted to rebuild, to learn from this mess and come out stronger. The hardest part was seeing her face after I told her I was leaving. She begged, pleaded, cried, and even accused me of overreacting. She tried to manipulate her way back into my good graces, but I saw her for what she was: selfish, dishonest, a liar who threw away everything we had for a cheap affair. I told her I didn't want her in my life anymore, that I deserved better, that I would never let her cheat on me or lie to my face again. In the end, I cut ties completely, filed for divorce, kept the evidence as proof of her betrayal, and blocked her number. It was the hardest decision I ever made, but also the most necessary. I learned that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's incredibly hard to rebuild. I also learned that some people are just selfish, and no amount of love can fix that kind of damage. Looking back, I realized this was a brutal lesson in boundaries and self-respect. I trusted her with everything: my heart, my future, my family, and she threw it all away for some fleeting moment of pleasure. But I refused to let this define me. I've started focusing on myself, on my work, on my future. I've learned to be cautious, to value honesty, and most importantly, to love myself enough to walk away from someone who doesn't respect me. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to understand, it's this: don't ever settle for betrayal. Don't ignore the signs or make excuses for someone who's screwing you over, because once they cross that line, there's no going back, and the only thing left to do is pick up the pieces and move on. Trust is earned, not given, and never, ever take someone for granted. That's the end of my story. It's been a rough ride, but I'm finally free. And honestly, I'm better for it.